Hello everyone and welcome to Catholic Truth. My name is Brian Mercier, and in this video we're going to be talking about whether it's acceptable for Catholics to receive the Eucharist in the hands. Because right now we're having the coronavirus scare of 2020. Even though many people think it's overblown, other people are saying we need to protect ourselves and we need to prevent this outbreak from happening in advance. So bishops are saying in many dioceses across America that you can't receive communion on the tongue, and that you have to receive it in the hand. Others are making it optional. We prefer you to receive it in the hand, but you're allowed to receive it on the tongue as well. So, what is it? Can we receive in the hand? Is that acceptable? Because I've noticed all over social media that people are yelling about this, screaming about it, condemning it. They're saying it's from the devil. You're not allowed to receive communion in the hand. You're only allowed to receive it on the tongue. That is the church's teaching. That is the church's tradition. And all of these diabolical, evil people who continue to promote communion in the hands are actually the ones trying to destroy the church. And I see posts about all of these conspiracy theories about trying to destroy the church and this and that. So what is the deal? Can we receive on the tongue? Yes or no? And we will tell you right after this. Hello everyone, my name is Brian Mercier. If you haven't been here before, I'm the founder and president of Catholic Truth, an organization that is fiercely Catholic without compromise, but yet with charity and hopefully humility. And in this video, we're going to be talking about whether it's acceptable for Catholics to receive the Eucharist in the hands. Because many extreme Catholics are saying that you can't, and that it's evil, and that it's wrong, and that the church says that you have to receive kneeling and on the tongue. And I want to say right away that the best way to receive the Eucharist is kneeling and on the tongue. At least in the Western Church, that's how we receive. That has been traditionally the best posture to receive the Eucharist, because the Eucharist isn't just a symbol. It's not just bread and wine. It literally is Jesus. We really believe that the King of Kings is coming in to dwell within us in a very special way in the Eucharist. So for that, we kneel and we receive him right onto our tongue as the ultimate act of reverence and worship. And that is my preferred method of receiving as well. Now, are we allowed to receive in the hand? That is the question. And the answer is yes and no. It depends where you are in the world. Traditionally, over the last several centuries, the norm has been receiving on the tongue, and that's what the church has said. However, there are some countries that will not let you receive on the tongue, and there are other countries that will not let you receive in the hand. Where I live in the United States, either way is permitted. And there was a dispensation given, and in the United States you could receive on the tongue or in the hand. I believe on the tongue and kneeling is better, but you are allowed to receive in the hand. And I think that's what people need to know, because people are saying, well, this is just something invented by liberals. This is something being invented by people who want to destroy the church tradition. But the fact is, the original tradition and the original way of receiving was standing up and in the hands. That's the truth. The earliest Christians received in their hands. And it wasn't until about the 6th century in Rome and the 9th century in Gaul that communion on the tongue started to become universal. And around the world, it was the 9th century that it became fully universal. But before the 6th century, and we have the earliest church fathers speaking on this, and the Catholic Encyclopedia confirms this, that the earliest Christians received in their hands and standing up. Why? Today, we would think that's completely irreverent. But in the earliest biblical days, from the Old Testament onward, people stood as an act of worshiping God. That was their posture. It was standing. Jesus took standing as a no-brainer. He didn't even question it. He talked about standing during prayer, and when you do this, stand and say. I mean, Jesus even said stand during prayer. However, during the New Testament, Christians started to kneel, and that started to become the proper posture, according to Christianity, for worshiping God and for reverence. But even throughout the many first centuries of Christianity, you had both standing and kneeling side by side, and both were reverent and both were good. Here's the thing. You could kneel and have a heart that's full of sin and evil. You could stand and have a reverent heart and live a holy life. The posture should be a reflection of within. The posture itself is not necessarily good or bad. You could receive on the tongue and be a terrible person, but you're doing it right in your own eyes. Or you could receive in the hand and really think you're doing it right in your own eyes and maybe not even know there's a better posture. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you heard a homily exhorting people to receive on the tongue? When was the last time you heard a homily in the TLM or in the NO? I've never heard a homily in either that tells me I should receive on the tongue and kneeling. I think the TLM, the traditional Latin Mass, takes it for granted, whereas the Novus Ordo, it's not really a thing. I mean, they don't really, and that's, in my opinion, that's a problem. We should be teaching people how to kneel and how to receive on the tongue. And we should bring back the altar rails and bring reverence back to the Eucharist. Wholesale, no questions asked. But the bottom line is, are we allowed to receive in the hand? And the answer is yes. In the United States, we are allowed to receive in the hand, and that is up to the individual, not the priest. The church says it's up to them to choose and to decide. Is one better? I think so. But are both permitted? Yes. So for people to say that, oh, well, the church says this, and you're evil if you do this, and create all of these condemnatory statements, the people who are fighting for communion on the tongue and condemning everyone else are actually teaching a position that the Catholic Church herself doesn't even teach. And that is very dangerous, especially in the extreme traditional movements. There are many people who teach things that the church herself doesn't teach. And that is what we have to be careful of. I have a lot of quotes here, just if people don't believe me, from the earliest Christians. There's at least 6 early church fathers that I could name from the earliest centuries that all taught and talked about communion in the hand. And it wasn't irreverent. It was the normal posture. And they received with great reverence. And we're talking about St. Augustine. We're talking about St. John Damascene. We're talking about St. John Chrysostom, St. Basil, and some of the biggest, greatest early church fathers we're talking about. So this isn't just a modern invention, a modern tradition. And by the way, I'm not going to read them right now. I might mention a couple here, but I don't want to bore everybody. I'll put them in the comment section below so you can check them out for yourself. But just so you know, here are a couple. The Catholic Encyclopedia quotes St. Dionysius, who's from the 3rd century. We're talking the 200s here. And he talks about standing at the table of the Lord with your hands extended, ready to receive the holy food or the Eucharist. And of course, we have Augustine, who talks about drawing near to the table with an ardent desire, with your hands held in the shape of a cross, ready to receive the body of the crucified one. And of course, he goes on and on. St. John Chrysostom says, would you dare approach the altar and the sacrifice of the Lamb with unwashed hands, because you're going to receive Jesus in those hands? There are several quotes, and again, I'll put them down below, that show that you can receive in a worthy manner, standing and with hands. Now, some people say, well, your hands are dirty. I can guarantee you that my hands aren't half as dirty as my tongue is. My tongue, and most of our tongues, are filthy through swearing and telling dirty jokes, lying, slandering, gossip, cursing out our neighbors, condemning these people that we think are so evil, even though they just don't know any better. They don't know the church's traditions. They have never been taught, and we're yelling and screaming at them. And really, the tongue is just, it comes from our heart. Our heart is what's corrupt. Our hearts are what needs conversion. And that comes out in our tongue, and the way we speak, and the way we condemn, and our anger, and our frustration, and our inability to actually act like Christ. Let's be honest. James 3:6, it says that the tongue is not only a fire, but it calls it the most unruly member of your body. And it says that it's a world of unrighteousness. Some translations say a world of iniquity. So the tongue and the heart are 2 of the worst parts of our body, because that's where all evil flows from. Jesus says dirt, that doesn't come from without. Real dirt, real uncleanliness, it comes from within. So whether you receive standing or kneeling, in the hand or on the tongue, you need to get right with God. Your heart and your soul, your spirit, need to be right with God. And we need to receive the Eucharist with the utmost reverence, however we do it. In the Eastern part of the church, our Eastern brothers and sisters, they don't kneel for the Eucharist. They bow at the waist, a deep, reverent bow of worship before the Eucharist. So This is a discipline. This is not a doctrine, and it's not a dogma. This is a discipline, and disciplines are supposed to change throughout history at different times, at different places, because of different circumstances and historical circumstances and such. But this has been the tradition of the church. We have both historically stood and we have both historically knelt for praying and for receiving the Eucharist, and on the tongue and in the hand. And it's changed all throughout history, and it still changes depending on the diocese you're in, the country, or in many other things. So we can't hold to a hard and fast Pharisaical, legalistic approach of this that the Catholic Church herself does not even hold to. What's the bottom line? Receive Christ as reverently as possible. I mean, if I could, I would receive it on my belly. Okay, this is Christ we're talking about. John the Evangelist, who laid on the breast of Jesus. When he saw Jesus after his death, he fell on his face as if he was dead. That is what the book of Revelation says. Because if we saw Christ in all his glory, we would fall on our faces as if dead. We have this same Jesus Christ in the Eucharist. And so we should be falling down on our knees in worship before him and receive him on the tongue and in a way that is extremely reverent and desiring to receive him. Now, of course, if the bishops ask us not to, we have to be obedient to the bishops, and it is not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world if you have to receive in the hand. We have this legalistic thing that it is, but quite frankly, obedience to God and to his church is far more holy, pure, and clean and pleasing to God than holding to our traditions and our ways, even when the church asks you not to. This isn't forever. We're not asking people just to receive in the hand forever. It's just during certain outbreaks like the coronavirus and other things like that. So bottom line, if you're in the United States and you're asked to receive in the hand, do so. If you're given the option, receive on the tongue. Receive kneeling if you can. But do it from your heart and worship Christ in every act. Please, if you like this video and you found it helpful, you think it's important, please share it with others, and please like it so we can get it out there more. And please tell others about it. Share the good news. Share the message about Catholic truth. Please tell everybody about this YouTube, Catholic Truth, because we want to spread Christ's truth. And that means even sometimes to Catholics within the church who teach things that the church herself does not teach. So, please like it, subscribe to our channel, and please consider supporting us. If you haven't yet, check out our Patreon page. You can donate once a month. You can donate once a year. There's different ways to donate to Catholic Truth. We do lots of retreats, confirmation retreats, Catholic school retreats, parish missions. We do book giveaways. We're doing billboard signs all over. I mean, we do a lot of different things. So please consider supporting our ministry. And most of all, please pray for me. I will be praying for all of you. God bless you.